US President Trump has rolled out the red carpet and thrown open his arms at the Oval Office in Washington for Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the man who appears to be calling the shots in Pakistan, Asim Munir. This wasn't just another courtesy call, mind you, or a photo op. This is clearly a statement. For years, US relations with Pakistan have been fraught with tension. India, on the other hand, steadily rose as a strategic partner. But now, it seems Trump has flipped the script from his first term to now. What started with words of affirmation and praises following the Pahalgam terror attack against India to exploring avenues of business has now descended completely into backing a terror sponsor straight, neglecting everything else in Pakistan's history. It seems like the art of the deal is blinding the US to the realities of terror networks. Amidst the back and forth with India on ceasefire claims and trade deal, the US seems to be offering Pakistan a seat at the table, possibly at India's expense. But here's what Trump is forgetting. The US needs India, all the more if it is trying to counterbalance China's influence in the region. Pump as it may as much money in Pakistan, it's not really going to give them the returns that India can. Secondly, can Pakistan be trusted as a reliable partner? And what does it say about America's global priorities against terror? We'll take that and more up with our guest joining us in just a bit. The US interest in Pakistan's critical minerals is driven by the need for reliable sources for its national security and economic stability. That is what Trump is keeping above the fight against terror. But here's what he's forgetting, that he himself agreed to the fact that Pakistan was providing safe haven to terrorists, many of them working against US interests. The crypto deal involving a Trump family-linked firm aims to integrate blockchain technology into Pakistan's financial system. But here, the US seems to have turned a blind eye to Pakistan's role in the recent Pahalgam terror attack. And how does it expect India to have any friendship with America beyond what it has already if this is what US is going to do? Trump's latest focus on regaining Bagram Air Base is also seen as part of a strategy to project US military power against China and Iran in the region. But the US is ignoring Pakistan's own double game on Afghanistan for decades that he himself accepted to. Trump's change of heart about Pakistan is seen as an attempt to counterbalance China's influence. They don't want Pakistan to go completely in China's arm. But what the US is conveniently ignoring are allegations of violations of domestic rights and abuse by Pakistan, and it cannot really whitewash Pakistan, even if that is what Trump is aiming to do. Now, this Pak love isn't new for the US, and there's a history attached to it, history we in India very well remember. The US allied with Pakistan via SATO and CENTO, providing $700 million in aid in 1965. This was to counter the Soviet influence and India's non-alignment. The arms supplied contributed to 1965 India-Pakistan war, with early ISI-backed militancy in Kashmir, though largely ignored by USA against an independent India. Then US President Nixon had deployed the 7th Fleet to intimidate India in the Bay of Bengal during the 1971 India-Pak War, despite Pakistan's atrocities in Bangladesh, because of which India had to get involved. Remember, the US channeled $3 to $6 billion through Pakistan's ISI to arm the Mujahideen against the Soviets well into the 80s and 90s. But inadvertently, they strengthened Pakistan's anti-India capabilities. The ISI diverted many of that funds to groups that later became the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Pakistan, designated a major non-NATO ally in 2004, received as much as $33 billion for Afghan operations over the years, despite the fact that it was found harboring both Taliban and Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists and operatives on its own land, not to forget, of course, Osama bin Laden himself. India, meanwhile, is keeping a close watch and has made its position very clear. There will be no third-party mediation when it comes to the bilateral issues of India and Pakistan. But what are the other options available for India, given that Trump is adopting such a pro-Pakistan approach? It's not just, balancing Pakistan and India relationship. It's now gone a step further. Well, India could engage in high-level diplomatic outreach, not just with the US but other countries, but also remind Washington of India's strategic value, particularly as a counterbalance to China. India can deepen its engagement with other allies such as other members of the Quad, namely Australia and Japan, to reaffirm strategic partnerships and present a united front in the Indo-Pacific region. India can accelerate efforts to build stronger economic ties with non-US markets. This could include further engagement with economic blocs in Southeast Asia, Africa and Europe. All of this seems to be happening as we speak. India can continue to invest in military and strengthen its own defense capabilities. This is also something that has been a big focus and something that has stood India in good stead despite this 4-day war against Pakistan and everything that happened against India. The fact is that India was able to fight this war on its own and with capabilities that stunned the world. The provocative approach that US has adopted, it can of course lead to a response from India. As far as geopolitical shifts affecting the security interests are concerned, India can continue to assert its strategic independence as seen with its rejection of US mediation in India-Pakistan conflict recently and its refusal to stop purchasing Russian oil. But with our guests, we delve a little bit deeper into what is behind this US-Pak tango. Is this purely business above what should be a principled terror fight? Yes, principles are not involved here. It's everybody's strategic interests at the fore. But is it a personal business interest that is now overriding a country's policy? That's coming up.
dignitaries, we've taken note of those meetings. जहाँ तक मध्यस्थता की बात है, वहाँ भी तीसरे किसी भी पक्ष की द्विपक्षीय मुद्दों पे भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच में द्विपक्षीय जो मुद्दे हैं उसमें कोई जगह नहीं है तीसरे पक्षों का.
Let's go across to our guest joining us. Ashok Sajjanhar is former Indian diplomat, Major General A.K. Sivach, defense and strategic expert. Tarakarta, former director of NSCS, is also joining us. Tarakarta, I want to begin with you. Do you see Trump and his particular brand of US presidency that we're seeing in the second term about, mostly focusing on what works for America and everybody else be damned? Do you see those business interests really overpowering what should be an India or a Pakistan policy, what should be a Southeast Asia policy, or any policy for that matter? He's upturned absolutely everything that US stood for in the last couple of years.
I would 100% agree with you. This is an overturning of no mean order. It's like turning a glass literally upside down. But, you have to differentiate between style and substance. This is Trump's style, where he does everything, it's all a drama. It's all up on the screens. It's all on Twitter. Underneath what you see is the policy, which is what we need to take off, which is a West Asian policy. This whole drive with Pakistan, I wouldn't say 100%, but a large part of it is linked to their West Asia. I mean, just look at the recent meeting which he had with these two people, where, by the way, Shehbaz Sharif looks absolutely terrified. But it is also followed a summit with the OIC and a couple of these leaders, Qatar, all of them together. We're talking about, ending the war in Gaza. So this is, and also if you recall, the first meeting when all this started rolling, the whole part of the US started rolling, this Ishaq Das readout with Marco Rubio was entirely to do with Iran. So in this instant, this is CENTCOM working. CENTCOM has a particular direction in its policy, which is, of course, US policy. It's not independent of that. PACOM has a different set of policies. We come under the PACOM directives. Now, it's easy to say, but for us to draw those lines is difficult. There is no change in the Pacific policy. There is considerable change in the CENTCOM policy, which is to do with Iran, Saudi Arabia. There's a recent, very strange defense agreement. And Iran joining it, saying it's okay. So there are some very, very strange moves here in this West Asian checkboard.
You think that is dominating what Trump is doing vis-a-vis Pakistan? It's not so much to needle India, it's not so much to put pressure on India for everything that we are on the negotiating table with them for?
That's why I made that difference. His style is this. He is needling you. There is no two ways. I mean, he knows this is going to get your goat. He could have done this quietly. He could have called, on a normal one-on-one with Shehbaz Sharif, with the ambassadors present. This is a completely secret meeting. Even the ambassadors are not there. His style is designed to provoke you, but the substance is West Asian policy. It has got nothing to do in principle with us. In principle,
Okay.
it does bother you a lot in terms of Pakistan getting a bigger role, which could also bring it trouble, which we can discuss later. But that is what is going on. But he's using it also to needle you.
Okay. Major General, what is your view of giving such a prime spot to both Pakistan's Field Marshal Asim Munir, and this time at least the Prime Minister was there, last time it was just Munir. What do you read into this, and will there be any alarm bells for Indian military setup, given that this could open the roads not just for business deals, but a lot of funding, a lot of military partnership with Pakistan further, and we know where most of that money or most of that defense capabilities go. They either are posturing against India or are used against India.
Yeah, Shivani, no doubt. See, as far as Pakistan relation improving with USA is a cause of concern for us, and the way now Asim Munir has again gone and along with Shehbaz Sharif and Donald Trump and met them twice in 3 days. There are three, four things which stand out. One is that you have to connect it also the Saudi Pakistan defense deal. That couldn't have happened without taking blessing of US. And that will bring a lot of money to Pakistan because Saudis have a lot of assets, they have got cash, they have got money, they will give to Pakistan. It will modernization of Pakistan defense forces will be a cause of concern. That's point one. The second issue is that the way Pakistan is coming closer to US. Now, this is a cause of concern because you remember that Pakistan is being sponsoring terrorism in India. Lashkar-e-Toba, Jaise Mohammed terrorists are being sponsored, trained, and financed by Pakistan. And America knew it, and America will be overlooking it. America's own interests are more important. As far as Donald Trump, America first. He said that he wants a Nobel Peace Prize in which Pakistan has sponsored. He stopped 7 wars, including you can say Cambodia, Thailand war, then Kosovo, Arabia war, Iran, Israel war, Azerbaijan, Armenia war. He says Israel, Iran war, and India, Pakistan war. Whereas we have been telling this war had nothing to do with US. It was DGMO Pakistan spoke to DGMO India. Not having said this, the other interest is a cryptocurrency. Then the basically minerals which are there in Pakistan overnight that has become important. But more than that, two, three things are more important. One is the Saudi Pakistan deal, Bagaram, that they want Bagaram airfield back again. They feel Pakistan can help them out, can impress upon Taliban, and it can control the China influence in this region. And it also will able to do anything and everything what Pakistan can be made to do with money because they want bases in case they have to strike back in Iran. And therefore also they need Pakistan. So overall, if the Pakistan will become much closer to US as it used to be earlier, Pakistan is known to play a double cross that it may do, but it will get a lot of money, and this will further modernize their defense forces. Though they are taking 81% of their defense equipment from China in last about 5 to 7 years, but if they get money from US, this will help them out. And another thing is that if they are not being put in grey list by Financial Action Task Force, because they are known for doing money laundering and terrorist funding, it is kind courtesy America. Because America control all these financial institutions, IMF, World Bank, European Development Bank, Asian Development Bank. So they can also get the fund through that. So blessing of US will be always required by Pakistan, and they were missing it for last about 5 to 7 years. And Trump 2.0 has brought them together and kind courtesy Asim Munir. And especially after Operation Sindoor, we have found out that there is a change of attitude as far
Exactly.
as...
If this was
Another
something
thing,
that was...
Shivani,
Sir, I'll come back to you. If this was something...
Another very important thing, Shivani, is the way the Donald Trump has treated India. You do not treat a strategic partner like this by putting 50% of tariff on India when he knows that we are a prime member of Quad, which if they have to fight against China and Indo-Pacific, they need India more than India needs
Well,
US.
Donald Trump has been treating literally everybody, whether even when it comes to Canada or some of their NATO partners or European partners, everybody with disdain. As Tarakarta said, I'll borrow from it. It's his style, if not as much substance. But you pointed out something very accurately, Major General. I'll take that to Ashok Sajjanhar. If this was something that was happening since the start of his term, maybe we would have looked at it differently. What has happened, Ashok Sajjanhar, and we cannot deny this, this has happened particularly post-Operation Sindoor. And we cannot deny that maybe those ceasefire mediation claims have had a role to play in it. Maybe the world has been shocked at how well India did in its operations, predominantly on the back of made in India equipment. And the world feels, okay, the Indians have gone a little bit far too ahead and Pakistan is no longer a match for them. So we need to do something to counterbalance India. I don't know if that realization has set in. But I first want to begin by asking you, there is a lot of criticism of Indian diplomacy given the way India-US relationship was going and how suddenly, after Operation Sindoor, our relationships with US have plummeted. Did India do something wrong?
No, I don't think India did anything wrong. First of all, thank you for inviting me. I don't think India did anything wrong. I think all the initiatives that have been coming, like, as you said very correctly, whether it is Canada, European Union, Mexico, etc., everything is coming from the United States and the other countries are really responding to it. Similar is the case as far as India is concerned. We did not do anything, but I can take it that Mr. Trump is very peeved. He's very piqued because we told him that you have no role in settling that, in getting the ceasefire between the two countries. And he thought, that he would be a sure shot. Since Pakistan has nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize, if India were also to second that, then that would be a sure shot for him to get this Nobel Peace Prize. So he is very piqued against India. And that is why I think whether it is this 50% tariff in which he is making, India the collateral damage, or maybe even Chabahar, again, that is a win for China. And even the H-1B, that also could be a result of the pique against India. But, I would tend to agree to a very significant extent with what Tara said. Basically, let us not, convolute the two, what he's doing to India. That's right. He's pushing back against India. We have to deal with it. That's basically on the trade sector. But as far as the other issues are concerned, Shivani, we have to see, his tone on Pakistan, even in his first term, although he had come out with that tweet on 1st January, what you mentioned, that $33 billion they have taken and
they've not done much for us.
Still providing safe haven to the terrorists. But his tune had changed by the middle of 2019. He had hosted Imran Khan in the White House, in the Oval Office, and told Imran Khan, I will negotiate, I will mediate on the issue of Kashmir. And he even told him that Mr. Modi has asked me to mediate on the issue of Kashmir. So his tone on Pakistan had changed at that time because he wanted to reach out to the Taliban. And he thought that Pakistan was the good conduit. Now, coming to the present tenure, you would remember that, the chief of the CENTCOM, General Kurilla, he called Pakistan a phenomenal partner in counterterrorism. So, the Americans are looking at Pakistan as far as counterterrorism is concerned only in terms of what it does in the area of dealing with ISIS, dealing with Al-Qaeda. Whether it is Jaish or it is Lashkar or it is Hizbul, that does not concern them at all. That is India's problem.
So my only problem
allow me to complete. I have just one more point to make. So, his pique against India is there, but his love for Pakistan is also what you said about business. And also this, it feels that it is helping it in counterterrorism. The other is, when it wanted to go and bomb Iran, then it thought that, it could get the airspace from Pakistan. It could even get an air base here. And similar is the thing as far as, the Bagram Air Base is concerned, that, it might need some support, although Pakistan and Taliban relations are absolutely in the bud. Pakistan will not be able to help America as far as Taliban is concerned. That is why it wants Pakistan on its side. So it's a whole lot of things why the United States is reaching out to Pakistan. Not all of its moves, Shivani, should be seen as being against India. He's just looking at interest.
I'll just say one thing, Tarakarta. I don't have a problem if, let's say, you have some independent policy that you need to take care of your interests and, therefore you're dishing out this red carpet for Pakistan. My only problem is then don't expect that India will trust you as a strategic partner.
Yeah.
US has been upset that we are not doing more with the US. We are not opening our markets. We are not buying more from them. We are not cancelling all of our friendships with everybody else. How do they expect that?
I think, okay, I'm going to just go. Did you see NATO Secretary General's attitude to Trump?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what he gets from everybody, and that's what he expects from us, from everyone. And that's what Pakistan gives them. Pakistan literally falls down at their feet and says, here we are. We don't do that. That is one. What you also, I'm going to go slightly off of this thing here. We always say don't bring India and Pakistan on the same front. Well, maybe this is a time to say, okay, you do what you like with Pakistan. We are going our way. We are going to do whatever talk to us separately. Why don't you turn this into an advantage? I mean, we've been cribbing all along that this India-Pakistan should stop. So So in terms of the trade tariff, it's pretty much like you correctly said, it's with everybody. It's something you're going to have to deal with. But that is only one part of the relationship. The other part is where what you said comes very strongly into play. Can I trust the US in buying defense equipment
Exactly.
anymore? I'm not sure at all. So if I have to buy my next generation aircraft or the Striker deal, I would, if I was the Major General, I would say, listen, let's go look somewhere else. France is there, Germany is there. There's a bunch of countries who would like to sell us stuff. I mean, you're not reliable anymore.
Yeah. So no, before I take that to the Major General as well, very quickly, Tarakarta, do you see any end game here? I mean, is there some game theory at play? All of his moves on tariffs, on Pakistan, on China, on India, everybody is upset with him. Nobody is really trusting Donald Trump right now. Is everybody just biding their time for his presidency to be over, for normalcy and sense to return? Or is this doing some grave damage permanently or semi-permanently to these relationships? And do you see whatever Trump is doing, any long-term benefit for America, or is this all guided by the here and now?
At the moment, I don't see any benefit at all. But in all justice, I mean, right now he's miffed everyone, including his allies and NATO and Canada and Europe, everybody. But there is one undercurrent to what he's doing. If you must have been to the US yourself, is anything made in the US? Nothing. He is saying, bring back manufacturing to the US. We are dependent on everybody else. And there he's right.
No, I have no problem. That is his personal stance for his country. I have no problem with that. The rest of the world has to deal with it. They cannot expect that America will keep doing what it's doing. I have zero problems on that. Every country has the right to decide for themselves. But on strategic alliances, he seems to be upsetting everybody. Today, Russia hasn't come on board. Ukraine is upset. Israel is upset. You've got other things going on in West Asia. You've upset India. How much can you bank on Pakistan?
The Japanese are upset
with them. The Japanese are upset.
The Australians are upset with them. So there is nobody whom he has not upset. Can he repair these relations which have been, the India-US relations have, been for since George W. Bush. This is going on step by step, till it reached it took a long time. All of us, I'm sure, have worked on it. Now he's caused so much damage in a few months. Okay. It's going to be difficult to get this going back again.
And will this eventually help America is the big question. Forget the tariffs issue, just on strategic alliances. Major General, I want to give you a word on how unreliable US has proven itself to be, particularly on the defense issue. And this is a generational reminder for Indians why India has never trusted US fully.
Shivani, India never has depended totally on US, but from 2000 onwards, there was a bipartisan understanding in US, whether it is Democrats or Republican. The relationship has improved tremendously, and we are the only country which has signed 4 foundation basic agreements. That is GSOMI, General Security of Military Information, COM CASA, Communication Compatibility and Security Arrangement, LIMIO, Logistic Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, and BECA, Basic Exchange Cooperation Agreement. What are these agreements? These agreements give us leverage of a transfer of technology, latest real-time intelligence. In fact, in Galwan, what happened, the Americans have shared real-time information to India. So the point which is coming is that our relationship were increasing. We were having a confidence and faith on each other. By doing what Donald Trump has now done it, then that trust has been eroded. Then you cannot rely totally on US blindly. And especially what it has done on tariff. Of course, one can say that there is a trade surplus as far as India is concerned, about $45 billion, and that can be plugged by buying defense equipment and some energy. I think that talks are going on. But what it has done to Chabar, it has put on again the tariff on Chabar, which was excused in Trump 1.0, when we told him very candidly, Chabar is very important if you have to reach to Afghanistan, bypassing Pakistan, and to Central Asian state and joining North-South Transport Corridor. That time he agreed, but again he has put it. So I am trying to convey is that in today's scenario, he's now going very close to Pakistan. Maybe money will flow, investment will flow in Pakistan. Saudi Pakistan deal will also bring a lot of investment in Pakistan. That will go against us, because the moment Pakistan modernize the defense forces, it will become more
be
aggressive
used
and
against us.
assertive.
Ultimately, its
And the
biggest enemy
cross-border
is
terrorism is
us.
not stopping. Now, point Shivani, one thing more. Now, very rightly brought out by the ambassador that as far as Lashkar-e-Toba, Jaise Mohammed is concerned, has no concern for US. US is only interested which has international reach, ISIS or Al Qaeda, and hence it always find that as far as Pakistan is concerned, they are allied in fighting terrorism again in the world,
But
because
they
it is
hardly.
going against.
The point is,
So,
unfortunately, they hardly did. I mean, I don't think
yeah,
Pakistan
very
can
correct.
say that it
See,
helped that fight against Taliban. Look at what ultimately had to happen in Afghanistan, right?
double cross.
Double cross plus,
Pakistan is known for double crossing US also. Last in Trump
and the
1.0,
results, the
that $4
results
million
speak for
was
themselves.
stopped.
Pakistan, US had to, just exit after 20 years with hardly any success on ground. I've got 30 seconds left. Ashok Sanjanar, I'll give you that final word. Very quickly, avenues for India.
Avenues for India, basically, I think, let's also face it, Shivani, that when we are talking about counter-terrorism, what Pakistan would say is whenever pressure is increased on it, it would hand over 2 or 3, a few of the low-level terrorists to the United States to keep them happy. You would remember that they gave this to Trump, they gave that terrorist who was responsible for the attack on 15th of August 2021, when the United States was moving out. So that makes the United States very happy. When Trump gave his State of the Union address,
Okay.
he specifically referred to this. Way forward for us is, we also need to see that tariff and trade, those are issues that we are discussing. But other elements of our bilateral partnership are proceeding reasonably smoothly. We have had the Yuddhabhyas exercises in Alaska.
Okay.
You've had the intersessional dialogue of the Quad. You have had meeting between, both our ministers are there. You have had the defense policy group that has come to India. So, the other elements of the
Okay.
relationship are proceeding. We need to look at that. We need to focus on our relationship. Pakistan is a side issue. Pakistan is a side game.
All right.
We need to focus on it, but not let that hijack our relationship with
Okay.
the United States.
Whether we are doing that
last point
hijacking.
there. Last point there. Look at Shehbaz Sharif and Munir. They had to wait for 1 hour for Trump to come and have the meeting. There was no press, there was no projection. When today Erdogan came, he was received with full protocol. not Shehbaz Sharif and Munir.
Okay.
They are just instruments that America wants to
Fair
use.
enough, but it's small consolation to those watching in India, how they're treated. The problem is they're still getting what they want from the US with the US kind of going back on everything, on its realizations and its learnings on dealings with Pakistan. But I'll leave it at that.